Thank you very much for joining us for this week's National Matters. My name is Makoko Akoze. This is a program that comes to you every Mondays at 20:45, and it discusses various issues that affect this beautiful country. On the program today, we are privileged to have the Citizens First President, Mr. KALABA, who is here to discuss, of course, various issues that are happening in the country. Mr. President, thank you very much for making it to Camnet TV. Welcome to National Matters.
Thank you so much for having me, Mr. Makoko. I'm happy to be here, and good evening to our viewers from wherever you are watching us from. It's good to be here.
Recently, is it last week, we saw a confrontation in the northern province where you had gone for the by-elections. Take us through what transpired.
Well, what happened on that day was that that was in Chimbamilonga constituency in Sama district. We had gone to drum up support for our candidate in that election. And normally the Electoral Commission of Zambia does give specific places where you should campaign and dates. And that particular day we should have been in an area called Mulenga. And as we were there, the UPND came with Minister Elvis Nkando to come and disrupt our meeting. So we had all kinds of cadres with pangas and belts, and they began whipping people. And I said I could not sit idle watching our people being mistreated like that, simply because they were exercising their democratic right. And I felt duty-bound to stand up to... And I went and confronted Minister Elvis Nkando, who seemed to have been enjoying what was happening. And it was at that moment that all hell broke loose. But I must, here on your platform, thank Minister Elias Mubanga, such a level-headed man and very reasonable man. I think he's a leader who distinguished himself in that category because he didn't support the hooliganism that was being perpetrated by his colleague. He chose to distance himself from that and really spoke passionately about coexisting. And I think that is how it should be. The biggest problem that the UPND has is that they want to paint a picture to the populace there that they are popular, they are strong, and that they are winning by elections. But they forget one thing, that winning of a ward by-election does not signify that you're going to win the general election. We saw that the previous governments, the MMD, used to win almost all ward by-elections. When it came the general election, they tumbled heavily. The same we saw with the Patriotic Front. They were winning by-elections. When it came to the general election, they could not win. So the UPND seems to be very bad students of history. And they are really putting a lot of money in these ward by-elections, literally buying everybody in order to win. But you know, the ground beneath them has shifted. Zambians all across this country are saying that we have had enough of the UPND. We can't continue with the UPND issues that they are pushing. It's high time that we changed course, and that's what the Zambians have done. Partly because, or mainly because, if it's in rural areas, it is the price and distribution of fertilizer which is haphazard. People are not getting fertilizer in rural areas. I mean, if they are getting, they are sharing in medas. And that is not what they were promised. They were promised that they will get 4 bags of urea, 4 bags of D-compound. That is not happening. People were promised in the villages that they were going to have access to agricultural loans to enable them increase on their yields. It has not happened. You know, the Farmer Input Support Program, FISIP, has also literally collapsed because instead of increasing beneficiaries on the program, this government has decided to begin reducing and bringing in now the loan issues which they are trying to give farmers. So everything has gone haphazard. Here in the urban areas, it's the issue of transport, it's the issue of the cost of living, which is basically high. Almost every month, they are increasing the price of fuel. If they don't increase, it will remain static. Next month, be rest assured, that's going to be increased. So that is the dilemma in which the Zambian people are. So no matter how they buy votes now, no matter how much violence they want to mete out now, it's not going to help them. They are going to meet their fate, and that is coming in 2026.
What do you make of this particular election, apart from the fact that you told us about that fracas that happened? What do you make of the whole election and your participation in this particular by-election?
Well, I'll tell you that our participation in this particular by-election was cardinal, extremely cardinal, because for us as citizens first, that's why I saw you people, you are advertising me with the symbol of the key behind me. We don't use that key thing. I mean, for us, our symbol is the tree, you know, and we say Muchinterelwe, you know. So that thing of the key is long gone. Zambians have passed that stage already. Now it's the tree, that's the symbol of the citizens first. And we participated in those elections because, first of all, we need to announce ourselves to the Zambian populace that we are in this not for games. Secondly, we are also telling the Zambian people to get to know the party closely, you know, using this same word by elections. And our system is working. So for us, we are not going in there just to ensure that, no, we should win, we should win. It's also giving us an opportunity to form our structures. It's giving us an opportunity also to sell our party, so that come that time, when we have the general election, Zambians will have rallied around us. But for the UPND, they have still continued with violence. As you know, UPND, you know, with violence. For them, they believe that violence is the only way in which they can propagate an argument. But that's not the way it should be. And then vote buying, you know, they are bringing loads and loads of trucks of midi meal, giving people, you know, they bring fertilizer, all against the electoral code of conduct. And they get away with it. And then they come to Lusaka and say, oh, the UPND has won that particular seat. Me, I say, okay, continue joking around amongst yourselves. You'll be punished heavily. And when you be punished, don't be surprised. Because they say, where I come from, Tawapa Pemfwa, Kubulwele Ngetawariko. Simply meaning, don't be surprised about somebody's death if you didn't hear about the illness or the sickness of that person. So, don't be surprised when the UPND loses in 2026, because the UPND is busy cheating itself that they are popular, when in fact they are not.
What are your future plans as regards by-elections?
Our future plans, earlier this morning when we had a press briefing, we told the nation that we'll continue participating in these ward by-elections for a simple reason that I was just mentioning to you. That for us, we are using these by-elections to plant our party. We are using these by-elections to propagate our message to the electorates. We are using these by-elections to even sell the candidates of Harry KALABA, who is going to stand in 2026. So these by-elections for us are being seen from a multifaceted perspective. And so we will participate. We hear there's an upcoming by-election in Milenge, an upcoming by-election in Impika, and another one in Shwangando. We have already directed our colleagues in those areas to begin picking candidates, because we're going to participate in those ward by-elections. So we will be participating in those ward by-elections, and we will try and avoid violence at all costs, because we are not violent. Ours is to challenge one another on the basis of ideas, not on the basis of who has got the biggest panga or who has got. Those politics are for UPND. For us as CF, it is to ensure that we bridge the divide. Zambians are tired, sir, of this violence. This violence just divides us. And the people that are being used in the violence, you know, they are hiring other people's children to go and begin fighting other people's children. When their children are busy watching Supersport in the comfort of their homes, we will not do that. I have told my colleagues in the party, anybody that wants to propagate violence will not be a friend of Harry KALABA. Because I'm a non-violent person. If you're not Kula, that is my being. So I will not allow anybody to begin pushing violence. So the UPND needs to pick that leaf. The politics of today don't require us to go in that space. Today's politics are demanding that we compete on how we can bring down the cost of meal. We compete on who has got the best ideas, on how fertilizer can reach our farmers. We must compete on the basis of ensuring that we create wealth and employment for our citizens. Zambia is a country that is surrounded by 8 countries, and yet we keep on importing. It is high time we began using our position as a country to begin exporting, because this country is blessed. We have almost everything. God has given us enough land, enough water, enough sunshine, enough manpower, human capital. All that we don't have in this country is a serious leadership that would rather it is hibernating in Dubai, even when things are happening here. We want a leadership that will be focused, a leadership that knows that its people are struggling. Zambians are struggling. They are suffering. There are very few people today, as you and I stayed here, who can tell us they had breakfast, they also had beef for lunch, and pasapa, they just been eating chicken. There are very few families. It's only these same UPND people who are eating like that, and they don't care how the people in Chipulugusu are living, how the people in Kalingalinga are living. That's not their problem, because so what is it for them to suffer? But we are telling Zambians out there, don't worry, we are going to work with you. And regardless of whatever opposition or whatever pressure the UPND mounts, we will stand true to what we believe in.
Which route do we take in order to change the narrative as regards political violence and politics of name-calling, and also politics that are not civil? What do we do to change this narrative?
I think what we do is what we are doing in the Citizens First. It is to challenge the status quo. We have to speak to these issues. We have to begin refusing to be used. We have to begin respecting other human beings that we find. Regardless of their social status, we must understand that these are human beings who have got families. These are human beings whose potential should be exploited, as opposed to using them for political expedience. We are preaching peace. We are saying there's much more that brings us together than what divides us. We just can't start fighting because you are UPND and I am Citizens First. Therefore, we should start fighting. No. I don't know if you are SDA. I am Catholic, or I am Pentecostal, or I am whatever I am. Can that be a basis of us to fight? No. Despite you being SDA, me being Catholics, at the end of the day, you are a human being, I'm also a human being. You are a Zambian, I'm also a Zambian. You are also, so there are so many comparative advantages that we should be looking at, as opposed to the cosmetic differences that exist. But the UPND doesn't listen. The UPND is stagnant in the thought of thinking you can only maintain power by using violence. You can only win elections by using violence. You can only woo people to yourselves by using violence. That is the method we are here condemning, that we don't need violence to attract attention. Peace sometimes speaks for itself. We are a peaceful party, and we are asking the UPND, because it is the one which is notorious when it comes to violence. It is the UPND which is notorious when it comes to disrupting other people's meetings. We are saying, stop it. At the end of the day, whether you like it or not, be good students of history. Whether you like it or not, whether you use violence or not. In UNIP, we had people who were using vigilantes. They were brutal. Didn't UNIP lose in 1991? Despite the vigilantes? They lost. In MMD, you had people called the Scorpion Kadobis. Those were no nonsense takers. Where is MMD? Didn't they lose? They lost. In the Patriotic Front, you had all kinds of cadres, splashing and throwing money all over the place. Where is the PF today? They're out. Then you have the UPND, using the same old habits, feeding on those habits, and thinking that is what's going to preserve them. Zambians have moved a notch higher. You do that, they're not going to sink to your level. They'll go to another higher level. And that is the level we are aspiring for as Citizens First. We are saying we have to stop violence. As I said, there is a lot that brings us together than what divides us. We should begin looking out for positives in other people instead of assuming the worst in others. That is what we should be doing. But the UPN doesn't want to learn. If they don't want to learn, they'll learn through the ballot the way UNIP learned, the way MMD learned, the way PF learned. They will also learn the hard way. Use violence at your own peril, because they will not sustain it. The people are much more than they are. So let them continue doing what they are doing. For us, our goal is to preach unity. Our goal is to preach peace. Our goal is to tell people that regardless of the differences that we might have, at the end of the day, we are all Zambians. All of us pledging allegiance to one ego, which is showing us that we can go above the challenges that we have. So therefore, it goes without saying that those who want to oppose us, those who want to propagate violence, are basically fighting a losing battle. Because at the end of the day, we the people will emerge stronger.
There was an unfortunate happening at Sensedi Copper open pit mine in Chingola, where an unknown number of people are trapped, and Chingola people are mourning. Some sections of society are saying that President Hakainde Hichilema should have abandoned COP28 to come and attend to this particular accident. What do you make of these sentiments?
In fact, even this morning when we had a press briefing, we too have joined the many voices of those that are mourning with the people of Chingola. So it's not Chingola mourning, it is Zambia mourning. We are mourning, and that is why those who are asking the president to have cut short his trip are not misguided. First of all, we must understand the conference which the president was attending. What is COP29? COP simply means Conference of Parties. Which parties? It is parties like the African countries that do not emit carbon emissions, as opposed to industrialized countries that are emitting carbon emissions. So in 1995, in March, in Berlin, the idea of having a conference of parties was mooted. And this idea came to the fore because industrialized countries realized that because of the carbon emissions which they were emitting, they were affecting the weather patterns in African countries, in undeveloped countries like ours. Remember, I was Minister of Environment and Lands in this country. And so I understand what all this thing was all about. So the Conference of Parties which the president was attending is a yearly event. Before you have the Conference of Parties, there is a meeting which is called an AMSEN meeting. AMSEN meeting is a meeting of ministers of environment in Africa. They congregate in some capital. They prepare for COP meeting so that when they go to that meeting, countries do not go and speak as individual countries. They speak as a continent. There is no one who was speaking there from the African continent, speaking that us in Zambia, we have this problem or this challenge. No. A position paper is prepared by the ministers of environment before they go to the Conference of Parties. And when they go for that meeting, one African head of state is chosen, who spearheads, who is chosen, and reads the position of Africa in that particular space. So one wonders, why didn't President Hakainde Hichilema come back? Because there was already a position paper prepared by the ministers of environment under AMSEN, who took that position paper to COP29. I attended COP19 myself in Poland. I was the one who represented President Michael Sata at that time. We did not travel. I traveled with about 100 delegates from various sectors, captains of industry in the environment sector. I led that delegation in 2013. There was no need for the president to remain stuck in Dubai. Absolutely no need. Because he would have cut short his visit to just go and feel for himself what was happening in Chingola. He remained comfortable, taking selfies there and posting them on his Facebook page, that we have met this one, we have met that one. Such a very irresponsible act that the president undertook. What should have happened is to take the step that the Tanzanian president took, because remember, there are floods in eastern Tanzania. The president of Tanzania, who was also attending the same COP29, which our president was attending, cut short her visit in Tanzania and flew back to Dar es Salaam to go and deal with a domestic issue. In 2017, when I was Foreign Affairs Minister, we were in Addis Ababa attending the African Union Heads of State and Summit in July, when there was an inferno at City Market. Remember, there was a big fire there.
Sure. That
was the first day when we had just opened the summit. And after the summit, we went and briefed the president then, Mr. Edgar Lungu, that there was an inferno at City Market. And that, Mr. President, I think you need to go back to Lusaka to go and be with the people. Mm-hmm. So the president asked me then to tell him what was the next program, and was I sure that there was nothing that was going to be affected. So I said, no, because you have had all these meetings, what is going to be affected now are these bilateral meetings, which you're supposed to have had, but you not have them because issues at home. And he agreed. Mm-hmm. And he says, okay, I will go back this evening. I'll fly back. And in the evening, he flew back. And in the morning, he was with the people in City Market when nobody died. But because of the properties that were lost, it was found prudent that he came and commiserated with the people at City Market. Now this one, people have died. People have died. And we saw him there with the sheikh of what, greeting them, and what type of a man is this one? If he's not going to be moved, honestly speaking, if he's not going to be moved by loss of life in this country, what will move him? What will? And the COP29 is not something that if he came back, Zambia was going to lose anything. I've just given you the historic perspective to this issue. That the position paper was already prepared by the ministers of environment. All he was doing there was to just be in nice hotels, a comfort, and just to show everybody that he was in Dubai, and there was nothing that he was doing there. Zambians are dying here. Dr. Kaunda in 1970, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I might mix the years, but I think it was in Mufulira, when we had about 89 people who died. He spent 1 week. He cut every program in Lusaka, cut every program, went to Mufulira, and Dr. Kaunda spent not less than 1 hour at each home of those that had lost people in that mine fiasco. Not less than an hour. And so he spent 7 days there, mourning with them. Our president heard about this thing because this thing happened on Thursday, and government was informed in the early hours of Friday. We have that information. They were informed. Why did it take Madame Nalumango, who was acting president? It took her 3 days, and she just did a Rama statement. Not even addressing the nation live on radio and TV, and she's addressing the nation. Not even coming here on Camnet to commiserate with the people. No. Just a Rama statement which was written for her, and she just read and said, yeah, you can go and issue it. That is not leadership. Those are jokes that they're doing, because the Zambian people require serious leadership of our type. Mm-hmm. Because if I were the president, even if I was in the States or wherever I would have been, I would have cut short my visit. I was just checking the other day. Joe Biden was supposed to attend a very big global summit, but because he had some domestic issues in America, he could not travel. He couldn't travel. President Nyusi of Mozambique was attending a SADC meeting when he was informed that there were floods in southern Maputo. He cut short his visit to go and check on the density of the floods. The Malawan leader also, this one who was there, Chakwera, he cut short his visit. When there was an issue in Malawi, he went. Not our president. Our president had to follow where there is a cocktail, he was the first to arrive. Where there is a what, he was the one to... You know, those are things that clearly show that he has no interest in the welfare of the Zambian people. And they say that umuntu wamwishibira pachirilo. And the Bible says, blessed are those who are found in a place of mourning than those who are found in a place of partying. I don't know if you have that scripture, should give it to the president to go through it. Because this man, I don't know what we can say. So yes, those who are saying that he should have come back are justified, because there was no position statement which he gave there in Dubai, which was a singular statement on Zambia. There was nothing like that. This conference of parties 29, next year there will be conference of parties 30 to be taking place. So why couldn't the president say, okay, let me just leave this, let me go and attend? And I've told you that I was the one who attended the conference of parties in 2013. Go and check your records when I was lands minister. I attended that meeting and I led a delegation myself. Meaning, the president could have left his very able minister, Nzovu, would have remained there, and he comes back. But because the president is in the habit of Bambazonki man, everything he has to be there, everything he has to be there, everything. He thinks by being in every event, then he's seen to work, and he would rather please those people out there. Because I was told that he had a very important meeting with the sheikh, where they were discussing things. They told him, go home. He said, no, the sheikh will be disappointed. So between that sheikh who would be disappointed and the people in Chingola who have lost families, who is more important? Because the people of Chingola are crying. We have not yet been told the number of people that have been stuck in that rubble. We don't know. But figures are flying around. We are told it's 30, 35. Others are saying it is 2 people have already been retrieved dead, 2 bodies and that kind of stuff. Even if it is 1 body that was retrieved in Chingola, the president should have come back to go and see the extent of what was happening. The Madam Vice President, instead of picking quarrels with people on the phone, people having a mind, and she's busy calling them and they're quarreling on phones on social media. She shouldn't be doing that. She should have gone there to check on the status of what was happening.
I know that the people of Chingola are mourning. Zambia at large is mourning. And how does this accident speak to the issues of illegal mining in this country?
Well, look, I think for me, the accident is not only speaking to illegal mining. We have also seen that accidents have happened even in places where people have proper licenses. I think for me what we should be talking about is safety. Remember, President Hakainde Hichilema himself had said that when he becomes president, he will ensure that mine safety is enhanced. He will ensure that mining regulations are completely enhanced, and that people that will be working in these mines will be safeguarded. That has not happened. The deaths today we're talking about in Chingola are as a result of poor mining safety conditions that are prevailing in those mines. That's all. And you can't just say because they were illegal or what. Forget about the illegal part. If they were illegal, we know that they are selling the copper to a legal entity. And that legal entity is also selling the copper to... So why is the legal entity buying copper from those who are calling illegal? Why? Because I know what's happening there. I know that those people are calling Jerabos are the ones who are mining that copper and they want to call it illegal, but they're selling to the Chinese. My Chinese barishta. Why are you not talking about the Chinese? Why are you making Zambians illegal? Why can't you legalize what they're doing? Because I've been doing that anyway. Legalize it and make the conditions viable for them so they can be able to trade at that particular level. But typical of the Zambian mentality, the Chinese must be respected, the foreign investors must be respected. For as long as you are a Zambian, you are an illegal miner, and your death doesn't matter, and the president will not even come back, whether you die because it is illegal mining. It's a Zambian that has died. Whether it is illegal or whether it is legal, I don't want to hear that. What I want to hear, did the president go to mourn? Did the president go to have first-hand information when that thing happened? The answer is a no, he didn't. He remained waiting for the sheikh there in Dubai.
You are watching National Matters on Cabinet TV, and today we are featuring a Citizen First President, Honorable KALABA, who is talking to us as regards various national issues that we are looking at this evening. Now, Mr. President, let's move on. Some sections of society are complaining to say the democratic space of this country is shrinking under the UPND. How do you describe the current political situation in the country?
The current political situation in Zambia is very bad, extremely bad. Very bad on many fronts. It's because we are dealing with a regime that was in opposition for 23 years. And we thought that they had learned how bad it is to be in opposition. Because it is called to be in the opposition. It's not an enviable thing. Those of us who choose to be in the opposition, people should understand that they are patriots in this country. We are here because we believe that the status quo currently prevailing in this country is pathetic and it needs to be corrected. I was arrested, detained in Karulushi for eating in Shima at the home of our national chair, Lady Faith Kanyika. I was detained there, Karulushi police. When I asked them why were they treating me like that, they told me, you came here and you were in the market there buying fish and you didn't tell us that you were coming. So I asked them, all these people who are passing here, do you know where they're coming from? They didn't care about that. If that is not shrinking of democratic space, what is it? What is it? Our youths in the Citizens First had applied to the police, in fact not applied, that given a notification to the police that they wanted to do a countrywide demonstration on two issues. One, on the rising cost of living. They are saying, we have to demonstrate because it's like our government is blind to our suffering. They're just moving up and down. The president keeps on meeting the same people in Dubai and that kind of stuff, and is not interested in our welfare. The second issue was that the president has continued to stay in community house instead of moving to state house. So our youths wanted to demonstrate on those two issues. They were stopped. The police said they didn't have enough manpower. So, is that what you can call democratic space in the country? Is there? Just look at the arrests that are happening in our country. We politicians are being arrested almost on a daily basis. We are an endangered species. An endangered species. Because if you just disagree with Mr. Kainde Hichilema, then you are in trouble. But we are here to tell him, Mr. Kainde Hichilema, he was not born with the presidency in his hands. He was not born with the presidency in his hands. He will leave that seat, we'll kick him out in 2026, and we are going in that seat to correct the status quo. Because you can't have a leader that has done 66 trips in 2.5 years. There's a saying in my language, umweni teplankama. Umweni teplankama. Elo kabidudi mwente tuelisho munsori munganda yabantu. You are a visitor, you are busy whistling, you've just arrived and you are busy whistling. Then just know, atoko of mweni ngomba. You must know this person where he's coming from. He's a serious choir member, this one. So that is the problem that we have in this country. That is the problem that we have. There is no democratic space that you can talk about, that there is democratic space in this country. It is not there. It is not there. It is only a figment of their own imagination that there is. It is not there. If you can't give us a platform here at Cabinet, who is going to give us a platform? ZNBC does not want to show the face. The only time I saw my face was when the UPND sent that crooked guy, that journalist guy. They sent that crooked guy to come and crook me. That's the only time they said, and the leader of the Citizens First was, and I said, these people are not serious. So when it is negative, it is not suiting you, they are going to put you on ZNBC. But when it is positive, like we are doing positive issues here, like when we tell them, you people, the Kwacha is collapsing because what you have done is that you have betrayed the Zambian people. The only reason the Kwacha is collapsing is because, one, you have reduced the mineral royalty tax from 6% to 3%. Who does that? Who does that? The second issue is that you have told these mining companies to bank money anywhere they want in the world. The Bank of Zambia governor 2 weeks ago said that the Kwacha was collapsing because it did not have protection of foreign reserves. How do you get foreign reserves? You get foreign reserves by export. And once you export, they pay you. That money, when I become president, when you export your copper, when you export your cobalt, you export your gold, whatever you're exporting, the money first of all must hit our Zanaco. It must hit Indo-Zambia Bank. It must hit our local banks here. Once it hits our local banks, then use the money for whatever you want to use it. Because once the dollars come in this country, it means that there's Kwacha cover. The Kwacha is protected. But when you're just exporting and the dollars are remaining in Canada, in Australia, in the United States, in where it is that is a problem for an economy like ours. And Mr. Kainde Ichilema is an economist. I don't have a degree in economics. I only have a master's degree in public administration. He has a degree in economics. How come me who has not done economics, I'm able to understand these things clearer than he is? It's because Mr. Kainde Ichilema also understands these things even better than I do, except he is looking at the business interest side of it, not the people's interest. He's only looking at the things from his own perspective, not the perspective of the Zambians. And that is wrong. Because when you become a leader, your inescapable responsibility is to ensure that Zambians are protected. Zambians are prevented from experiencing shocks. We are experiencing shocks in the rising of petroleum prices. We are experiencing shocks in the lack of unemployment. We are experiencing shocks in the fact that there are no industries being created in this country. Zambia is now a country that is only importing from Mozambique. We are even importing from Malawi. The cigarettes that you are smoking, do you smoke, Mr. Mamuka?
No, I don't.
That you used to smoke. Okay.
No.
The cigarettes that are coming in this country are coming from Malawi. They're coming from Malawi. And yet, Malawi doesn't even have any hydropower station. They're using generators in that country. Yet the Malawans are making cigarettes for you. We can't even process in this country. When I become president, those habits are going to die. We'll start processing here in this country because we are growing tobacco in Eastern Province. We are growing tobacco in Kaoma and Kayema. Why is our tobacco going to Malawi instead of our tobacco remaining there? Chibindawa abamba no kwakanya kuinyakanye. So our tobacco must be processed where it is being grown. And we'll do that. We used to do that before. We used to have Rothmans here. We used to have all these people who were processing our cigarettes. But now we have stopped. Now we are getting, even if itenge, we grow cotton. We grow cotton in this country. And yet, our vitenges are coming from Tanzania. They are coming from Congo DRC. And we've been laughing at the Congo DRC. No, the Congo DRC, Sharila. The Congo DRC, Sharila. It is us. Because even when you look at the GDP of the Congo DRC, even the per capita income of the DRC and ourselves, we are at variance by far. So the dichotomy here, which we need to be looking at, is very, very interesting. We need to begin as a country to begin value addition. Once we begin value addition to what we are doing, we are going to reach that threshold. I can give you an example. I told this government, or we told this government as CF, just from the onset, we told them, can you please recapitalize Indeni? All that you need is to spend about $400 million to buy the hydrocarbon cracker to make Indeni a refinery. Let us continue getting crude, refine it at Indeni. Because right now Indeni is a separator, just separates diesel and petrol, and then you have the... They didn't want. Today you are pumping a finished product from the port of Beira, from the port of Dar es Salaam into Ndola, a finished product. It means that the employment levels of our people has gone down because nobody's working there to do the work that Zambia should have been doing. Others are the ones who are finishing the product for us, then they send it to us. Bad management, bad governance. When I become president, that's coming to an end. We have to have various indices if you want. This time where we are, we should have even about 4 centers where we are doing our separation of these products. Right now, even liquefied petroleum gas is a problem in this country because liquefied petroleum gas is a byproduct of that same crude oil which is brought in this country. So now we are importing liquefied petroleum gas. Right now, as we are speaking, there's a problem of even this same kerosene. It's getting expensive because it's also being pumped as a finished product. Right now, as you and I are speaking, there's a problem of even bitumen, which we use for tarmac, because it's also a byproduct of that same crude. So it's a vicious cycle. It affects every other sector. But this government can't see it. It's job on training. That's why I tell people out there who say, no, Hari Kalaba. I saw someone on Facebook today saying, Hari Kalaba, you do think you can become president? Me, if Mr. Kainde Ichidema can become president, who didn't even know what a yellow book looks like, what about me? I have been a backbencher before. Me, I've been a backbencher in parliament before. Me, I've been a deputy minister under Guy Scott before he was vice president. Me, I've been a minister of lands and environment. That's why I can break down the COP19 for you here. If you brought Mr. Kainde Ichidema, even though he attended that conference of parties, if you told him which parties, what do they mean by conference of parties, he would struggle to explain to you. I understand that. I was foreign affairs minister for 4 years in this country. I understand foreign relations to the core. It's not boasting. It's the way it is. I understand. So when somebody tells you that, no, I have been a civil servant, rising from the ranks, having my exams done at NIPA to enter the civil service, and rising from executive officer, senior executive officer, administrative officer, assistant director, to the position at cabinet office, the time when I was leaving the civil service for 10 years. Nobody in that UPND of yours can tell me that they understand the civil service better than I do. I understand the challenges of the civil service. That's why I can tell you today that the men and women in uniform are in this problem because of this. I can tell you today the challenge which is with the teachers is this. I will tell you today the challenge. You don't just employ health practitioners, you employ them and say, we have worked club for us, and you go to Europe, the European Union Parliament there, and you go and start yapping and yapping. We don't do that. We are talking about how processes must work and how things should be understood. That's why Zambians must begin looking at who must be a leader. It is not the age. It is not the age. No. It must be somebody who has a deep comprehension of governance, who has got a vision of what can happen for this country. Somebody who will not speak in tongues. When they give him a suitcase of dollars, he changes and says, okay, let's meet later on. You need somebody who will walk away from that. And I'm not saying something I've not done. Here in this country, when I was lands minister, I reported a Chinese who gave me money, $50,000 as a Christmas gift. I said, you are not a Christian, you. How can you give me all this money when you don't even believe in Christ? No, happy Christmas. He could not even pronounce Christmas properly. So I said, this is corruption and I'm going to the police. It's on record. Don't tell Mr. Kainde ever since he became president, I've not given him any money and he has not reported anybody. Magufuli in Tanzania, when he became president, they gave him a lot of money. Businessmen gave him money. They were giving him money as congratulations. Do you know what he did? He went to ZRA and he said, these businessmen have given me this money. Did they pay tax on this money they gave me? And that money he gave, he donated it to Dar es Salaam Hospital. Today when you go to Dar es Salaam Hospital, everything was changed. When he became president, even the genset was not working at the major hospital. He changed it. Don't tell me these leaders who are telling you that they are so innocent like a baby. They should not be telling you those stories. These leaders must be standing up and showing examples. I have shown the example. I resigned from a position and I walked away from a position. I refused to move in a government house when I was a minister of a government. I didn't move in a government house. I refused. I refused to get housing allowance when I was living in my own house. I refused to drive a JRZ vehicle when I'm not on duty. I never drove a JRZ vehicle. These are the signs that should show you that we are never excited with public property. Them, even on a Saturday, going to church, they have to put up root lining. Even on a Saturday, they don't even know how to move incognito. They have to go with the flag. It is always, yes, the president is 24 hours, it's okay. Just like ministers, it's 24 hours service. But the point I'm trying to drive home is, we need patriots in the offices. We need people who deal with the problems in offices, who will be practical. There is no way, 3 years down the line, farmers should be sharing fertilizer. That's too much. It's unacceptable.
Having said that, how would you then describe the fight against corruption under the UPND?
You are really asking an obvious question. The UPND is corrupt, very corrupt. And why do I say that? I'm not saying that from without. The UPND is corrupt because, one, there is a deal which is stinking right now. 24 million US dollars procurement of drugs from Egypt. $24 million without following the tender procedures. In the history of governance in this country, it is a first that we are seeing the UPND relying heavily on single sourcing. Yes, single sourcing is also part of procurement, but it is not. It has got a framework in which it is used. The UPND has opted to continuously use single sourcing. Through single sourcing, their friends are getting tenders. Through single sourcing, they are choosing who should be given a contract, who should not be given a contract, who should be kicked out, who should not be kicked out. It should never be like that. It should never be like that. They must allow, when we form government, and I become president, and I hear that the Minister of Energy or the Minister of whatever I want to call them has stopped a person who is UPND from winning a tender. Even Mr. Akainde is welcome to tender when we form government. And if he's got the right documents, he will do it. Remember the president's affiliated company, is it last year? They won a tender for $26 million without declaring interest. And it's all quiet. And you want to sit here and begin saying the UPND is fighting corruption. The UPND is fighting political opponents, not corruption. The moment the president got the Anti-Corruption Commission to be under his purview, there was a problem. He should not have done that. When I become president, we want the Anti-Corruption Commission to behave the way they used to behave in the days of Akapembwa. You know, the Anti-Corruption Commission under Kaunda. Ministers were being arrested, and Kaunda is playing golf in Imfu and is told, and he says, well done, Jack. That is what we want. If Mr. Chikankatika, as Minister of Information or wherever he is in charge of privatization, and is busy there doing his own deals, I mean, government has got eyes and ears. The long arm of government will catch up with him. And when it catches up with him, he will face the full temerity of the law. The full temerity, not these jokes you are seeing. Of others, come and we have coffee. Others, bring that envelope, put it there. Others, let me become president in this country. Then you compare between Abel and some of us you keep on referring to as they cannot be. Then you compare. Because comprehension of governance and seriousness towards these issues. I am not a businessman. I am not a businessman. If I do business myself, it is to survive and keep my children in school. I have never done it because I want to be a billionaire. If I wanted to do that, I would have already become a millionaire. I would not even have resigned as foreign minister. I was not meant to become a businessman. I am a social worker. Mine is to help the masses, to speak for the masses, to speak for cowards who cannot speak for themselves. That is my role. And so, when I say that Mr. Hakainde Hichilema is a businessman, not a leader, I have demonstrated it here. He was in Dubai, salivating for the sheikh to meet them when his own people were being buried under the rubble. He chose to come only after he met the sheikh of Dubai. It doesn't work that way. So when we come in government, it will not just be talking the talk. It is walking the talk. And that is what is going to happen. Practicality. You don't say, when I become president, my ministers will not drive GXs. You remember I said that? I met his ministers just the other day with a big GX that they were passing. So that's a contradiction. Don't say it. If you can't do it, don't go in the kitchen if you don't like the heat. Why say something which you cannot live up to? You do things and you follow through with actions. And that is who we are. We don't just speak. When we say there will be industrialization in this country, it is not cheap talk. And there are people out there who are saying, but you, Harry Kalaba, you were in government. Why didn't you do that in government? And I ask them and I tell them, was I president? Was I president? I was not. I was only a minister in charge of a particular portfolio, and I was answerable. My powers were limited. It's like telling my brother Cornelius Mwetwa today and says, no, but Cornelius, the price of meal, why didn't you? His powers are limited. Even though he can be your minister of information, his powers are limited. Just like the powers of my older brothers Tumbekom Sokoto and the Minister of Finance are equally limited. The one who has got unlimited authority is the president. It's him to sit down with people that can help him. But the president has advisors who he advises. What do you expect?
Is there anything positive that you can point at in the UPND's 2 years in office?
Look, first of all, I want to say it is not my job to sit here and begin talking about the positives of the UPND. That's not my job. There is somebody, Cornelius Mwetwa is paid to explain the achievements of the UPND. If at all they are there. My job is to point out, in line with what we agreed in 1990, plural politics, is to point out weaknesses, is to point out gaps in the governance sphere. That is what I'm doing here. If you want to hear the lies on the achievements of the UPND, just bring Mwetwa here, and he'll tell you a catalogue of those stories. I'm not going to be part of that. I won't be part of that.
Recently, we did see the comeback of former President Edgar Lungu into active politics. What do you make of his comeback to active politics? Does this move you as citizens first?
No. Why should it move us? We are not moved. In fact, we are happy that he has come on the fore because of the. I mean, we need many hands to fight this cage, which is bringing us down. And so he's a citizen. He's enjoying his democratic right. Why should there be halabaloo about his coming back? I mean, at the end of the day, you live with the Zambian people. They will decide. So whether he has come back or he has not come back, it should not worry anybody. So those who are worried with his coming back, they should not put us under pressure. Leave him. He's a free human being. He's free to do what he wants to do. And if it has really pained them a lot, it's up to them. So for us as citizens first, we acknowledge anybody that will come on the democratic space. It's their country, it's their right. So what can we do?
Recently, Chief Government Spokesperson and Minister of Information and Media, Cornelius Mwetwa, did announce to the nation that government has no intention to remove President Edgar Lungu's immunity. What do you make of this statement?
Well, first of all, why do you want to even talk about removing the immunity of President Lungu? Why do you want to remove his immunity? I think, first of all, they should not even cheat you. It is not as easy as one would want to imagine, because to remove the immunity of a president, you need a 2/3 majority in that parliament. That is one. Secondly, the president has to go to parliament and prove the cases. In fact, it starts with the president going to parliament, proving the cases that his predecessor had committed huge cases which needed Parliament to remove his immunity. Once that is done, the committee will be formed in Parliament, which committee is going to look at the merits and demerits of the president's presentation. When that committee looks at the merits and demerits of what the president has presented, they are going to take it now to the committee of the whole house, which is the sitting, which is the whole parliament there, the whole parliament. They'll go and make their submissions. When they make their submissions to the whole house there, that whole house has to decide and whether they should remove the immunity or not. But before they do that, they will have to also call the former president to go to Parliament to go and rebut those accusations that the president has lumped on him. So it is a laborious process, and coupled with that, they require a 2/3 majority, meaning they require not less than 112 members of Parliament to support that same endeavor. Where will they get the numbers? First of all, that is one. Secondly, where are they going to fish for those charges? And it's not something which is going to take 2 months or 3 months. It's a laborious process. Number one, for instance, by UPND, because they keep on arresting people who get acquitted. They arrest this one, is acquitted. They arrest that one, is acquitted. They are quick to arrest people, but they are failing to secure any convictions. That's the problem which they have. Because in Amayavaiche, as they say in Bemba, look at this, so these people had popularity, but the popularity which they had has gone because they began mismanaging the people that they should have been governing. They began lumping cases. Even people who should not have survived this process have survived it because of the carelessness with which the UPND has handled the fight against corruption. Very careless. Very careless. If I were a president, I will not tell you what I would do. But if I were a president, you would even know compared to this one is firebrand because he knows exactly where it should go. First of all, I will never take the Anti-Corruption Commission and bring them under my purview. No. The ACC must be autonomous because that's an act of parliament. That's an oversight institution on governance. You get it and you put it in your pocket. Is that the way it should be? How will you fight corruption then? So, even when they are not ready, they go and arrest somebody. Take the person to court. There are people who have been arrested in this country, my fellow political leaders, who have been arrested. Their cases are failing to take off there in court. Why? Because you are arresting somebody because of vindictiveness. Our president is a very vindictive man, very vindictive person. If he doesn't like you, he's going to use the law, he's going to use the police, he's going to use whatever at his disposal to humiliate you. And we have seen it happen. We are seeing what is going on. Now, a leader should not be like that. A leader should have a heart to understand that even if I don't like this person, but he's existing in this democratic space, it's up to him. A leader must be the way we saw with the other leaders in the past. I don't want to begin pointing leaders, but he's one who should be able to sit with adversaries and sit together around the round table and say, how can we make progress here? How can we go forward? Not what we are saying. Just hatred. This is a Christian nation. I'm here in the studio. There is a man of God who sits there where you are seated. So you are sitting on holy grounds there. So be careful. So that's the problem which we have with this government of ours. It doesn't know whether it's going or coming.
Mr. Mwetwa also, Honorable Mwetwa also did mention that the opposition political leaders, you inclusive, are doing everything possible to get arrested and then seek public sympathy, and they also create a perception that there is political persecution.
That's not true. That's not true. And, first of all, I must tell you the truth that Mr. Mwetwa has been trying as Minister of Information and is working under very difficult circumstances because I feel for him. I have been with him in Parliament. Remember, I was in Parliament for 2 terms. So I've been with Cornelius. We entered Parliament together in 2011. So I know him very well. And he's having challenges justifying, because he has to keep his job. So he has to say something. Even when he himself knows that nobody in their right frame of mind, would want to be arrested to make political mileage. Why? The cells where they put us, my brother, they're squeezed, eh? They're tight. That's where they put us. So nobody would want to be in that humiliating condition. It's shashupafi. So for someone to suggest that they're doing something to become popular, you don't need to do that to become popular. You don't need to do that. So my brother there is misguided, and very misguided. And I think he too must learn to understand that we have challenges. And Mr. Mwetwa knows, because he was in opposition. Minister Mwetwa was in opposition for a very long time. He has suffered dejection, he has suffered humiliation, he has suffered. So he understands that when you are in opposition, everything is against you. And sometimes the law will begin, those who are enforcing the law will be hunting for you, you know, just to put you in the dock. So it is time. It is time. But these things will also pass. These things will change with a sober leadership that you are interviewing right now.
There is a huge rally, a mass rally that is coming up on the Copper Belt very shortly. Is it on the 9th, if I'm not mistaken, of December? What is the Citizen First taking to this particular rally? What are some of the issues that you'll be talking to?
We are not part of that rally, by the way. We're not attending that rally ourselves, because I think we've just come from a by-election. And the time they'll be having the rally is the time we'll be doing our post-mortem. What had precipitated in the by-election. So we'll not be attending that rally ourselves. But that notwithstanding, we still wish our colleagues well who will be attending that rally. And we hope that the police will, since they'll be notified, they will not bring issues with their brother coming from Dubai, that there is a problem, they need to find, they don't have enough manpower to police that thing. I think that thing should not. Please, we should feel ashamed of ourselves. That is why the UPND must learn to be truthful. When they talked about the annihilation, the abolition of the Public Order Act, they should have abolished it. That is an archaic law which was meant to oppress the African leaders trying to get their independence. Why stick to that? Stick to that. Some of us, when we take over power, the moment we lift the Bible, as I'm saying, so help me God, the Public Order Act must also be collapsing, because we don't want things like that. No. Those things should not be happening in this country. When you are notified, let them go and speak. You know, in 2016, when I was Minister of Foreign Affairs, I had a conversation with Honorable Kampiongo, my brother, when he was Minister of Home Affairs, and the late Alexander Chikwanda. The UPND in opposition had applied for a permit to have a rally in Kanyama, and the Minister of Home Affairs had declined, that they were not going to support that rally because they didn't have manpower. This issue of manpower, the UPND has copied it from the PF. We called Minister Kampiongo with Minister Chikwanda, and we told him, why are you stopping them from having a rally? As if we knew. We were telling him, these UPND, they don't have anything to offer the people. They don't have a message, this. By you stopping them from meeting, you are even helping them. They're even saying, well done. Because what were they going to work for there at the rally? Nothing. But if you stop them, you are giving them reason and the Zambian populace to believe that whatever chusha, whatever chinga, therefore maybe we should begin listening to them. Give people enough rope to hang themselves, and Zambians will decide. The UPND should learn from what happened, because Mr. Hakainde Hichilema hardly campaigned in the last election. He hardly campaigned. He was always at Community House, and from Community House, he was going to the Secretariat. Never did he campaign. He won. He never went to Kasama, he never went to Mansa, he never went to... He won.
Let me hold your thought maybe there, so we can get a call, because we have a caller on.
This is a call-in program.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, evening, moderator.
You are live on the National Matters program on Cabinet TV. Your name and where you're calling us from?
This is Comrade because I'm calling from within the
Comrade, please go ahead and give us your question or contribution.
Mr. President, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, you are speaking very well, Comrade. This is what the Zambian people voted for in 2021, where our leaders are able to come on air and explain how they feel and their plans for this nation. Although the same people that are doing that, they are saying the democracy in this nation is shrinking. I think for you, Comrade KALABA, I have got no issues with you. I'm only concerned with people that are mixing up politics with the valuation of growth. Those who are being arrested and they want to use their political positions to run away from the crimes that they commit. We have seen that even the people that were closing the media houses, people that were crippling business for other Zambians, like the Post, today they are complaining about democracy. They have forgotten what they were doing when they were in power. And they are calling even the people that they crippled their business to say, we are to celebrate Pamos. I think in this nation, there's a lot of jokes politically. In politics, there's a lot of jokes. What I understand is that when we try to go a multi-party type of politics in this nation, we thought maybe we can have more people speaking out, bringing up different ideas, and as a country, we will be able to choose which ideas can help this nation. But what we are seeing is that it is only fight. People are only interested in power. The president has been asking the opposition to say, can you give us alternatives? Tell us what you will do different to what we are doing.
But we are giving you alternatives here.
Hello?
We are giving you alternatives, Bamukosa. Are you not listening to alternatives we are giving you?
At least you, comrade, you are trying.
I'm not even trying.
That are always shouting the leadership that the people of Zambia voted a legitimate leadership.
Kindly ask your question, Mr. Mukosa, so that we give time to other callers.
Yeah, my question from KALABA. Are you ready to work with the same people you called the corrupt? The same people that crippled your friends' businesses? You remember that Mr. Kambulu was crying day in, day out about his business being crippled because his paper was closed by the same regime that today is calling for you to work together. That's my question.
Thank you very much. We do appreciate your question. You can also call us on the numbers that are on your screens if you have a question for our guest tonight.
That question is asking that one. First of all, you should ask Mr. Hakainde Hichilema. He's the one you should ask first. Why is Mr. Hakainde Hichilema working with Mr. Elijah Muchima? Because Mr. Elijah Muchima called Mr. Hakainde Hichilema all kinds of names when he was in the UPN, in the MMD, when he worked briefly with the PF. Why is Mr. Hakainde Hichilema working with Muchima? That is one. Two, why is Mr. Hakainde Hichilema working with Mr. Stumbeko Msokotwane? Because Mr. Stumbeko Msokotwane is from the MMD. They're working together. Mr. Stumbeko Msokotwane called Mr. Hichilema all kinds of things. They're working together today. So before you come to ask me questions, they say, don't go to equity with unclean hands. First of all, you should remove your log in your eye before you start talking about a speck in the eye of another. So all those UPND that he's working with, all those UPND, those MMD that he has put together, who are calling him all kinds of names and what, Today, Honorable Mtati is working with him. He never agreed with Mr. Kainde Hichilema. Mr. Mtati, today is Minister of Technology. So when he is coming and telling you, today Mr. Kabuswe, who is the Minister of Mines, Mr. Kabuswe was not adopted by PF when he had applied to stand in Chilabombwe. When they left him, that's when he stood on UPND. Today is a minister there. Why is Mr. Kainde Hichilema working with him? Because he was saying all kinds of things. Why is he working with all those ministers that were saying all kinds of things about him? And today you want to come and start talking about other people. So Mr. Mkwasa, first of all, answer that question. When you answer that question, then we'll answer your question. At dawa ya moto ni moto. The medicine of fire is fire. You know that Kiswahili?
Let's move on. There are concerns that have been raised as regards sections of society. You also did mention that President Hakainde Hichilema has made, you even gave us exact number, 66 trips.
The man can travel.
Yeah, concerns are being raised about his travel. Do you think that this is beneficial to the country or not?
The president is wasting taxpayers' money. The president said himself, he said he found empty coffers. You find empty coffers and you hammer 66 trips rapid. Who is going to believe you that you found empty coffers? At first, the justification is I'm going to sign MOUs. Which MOUs has he signed, which you bring on the table and tell us that this MOU has helped us to do this and this? And he thought the term MOU, Zambians will not understand it. You know how Mr. Kainde Hichilema does these things. He said, if we finish the whole sentence at MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, Zambians will know. So let's just let's use the acronym MOU. You know? So the MOUs which we have signed, ask him, just one MOU, you signed an MOU in Swaziland. That MOU is signed in Swaziland of tourism MOU. Let him tell us if there are even 2 tourists who have come from Swaziland from the time that they signed that MOU to come into our country, Zambia. We are not saying he should give us 5 names, just 2. He will not give you. Because he was wasting your time and money there in Swaziland. When we said these things, people there were saying, no, you are jealous. Your time will come. Yes, our time will come. But we have an inescapable duty of calling him out when he goes beyond board. When he started, having been a former foreign minister myself and understanding the importance of presidential trips, I was allowing it and I said I cannot speak about it because it is within his line. I was just telling you that he went to COP28. I attended COP19. I represented the president, Mr. Sata, because he didn't want to waste revenue. This one went. He went to Germany the other week. The other week he was in Angola. The other week he was in every other week he's in another country. What time will he have to understand why farmers are getting medals? What time will he have to go in the UTH and see that there are no medicines there? What time will he have to understand that our cervical cancer department is struggling? That there are no CT scans in hospitals, that there are no medicines in hospitals. Where will he get the time from? He will not get that time because for him, for as long as he had the meeting with the management of Lumwana and the Kansanshi and they agreed to reduce the mineral tax, he has done the deal, they are happy, those guys, he's happy as well, it ends there. This is a lesson for Zambians. It's a lesson for Zambians to know that yes, it is not a question of crying for leadership. Sometimes those who cry the loudest for leadership just know they don't have ideas. Almost everything he promised has not come to fruition. 98 or 99.9% has not come to fruition. The only thing which has come to fruition, where he has gotten 100% that he has really here, it's unfulfilled promises. There he has hammered. 100%. He has duped Zambians. You and I were sold a lie.
Let's get another call. We have another caller on the line. Hello, good evening. Hello? Okay, let's have a look at some of the messages that we have received. This one says, "Hi, Mr. President. Please don't forget to talk about the compensation which is going around."
Which compensation is this?
In the UPND, Joseph Kabwata from Kakwata, rather, from Ndola. This one says, "Good evening. What has happened to the cases of Sujilite, the 100 million at Ministry of Health? The PS was fired." Thank you very much. Do we have any more messages? There is this incorrect statement of the SEC having been placed under office of the president under the current government. The SEC has always been under the office of the president like many other commissions. This is a very simple matter to verify. MFK in Lusaka. Thank you very much for that message. Do we have any other messages? Good evening. The truth hurts. This is true for us Zambians. A rich nation but wallowing in poverty, it is due to leadership. Do we have a vision for this nation? If we claim to have, why is it that the party that comes into government does not build on what the previous government did? We are always starting. How can we develop if we are forever starting? It seems like chipante-pante, and as such, there is no scoring. Annie Chileshe from Chiwombo. Thank you very much, Anne. We really do appreciate that message. Let's see if we have. Good evening, Wakateka. You are explaining well how government must be run. But what could be the major force which causes politicians to lose their brilliance once they enter into State House? Thank you very much for that message. We really do appreciate it. Let's take a look at the messages that we've read. I did hear you ask about the compensations. Maybe they are referring to the politicians that were forcibly detained. We did hear Honorable Moderator.
Oh, these consent judgments?
Sure.
That's what I mean there?
Sure.
Yeah, but you know, again, it is surprising that money is found to give consent judgment payments to all those they are giving their colleagues, 4.6 million, and yet there are no drugs in the hospitals. Is it not ironic that they are giving each other money? The president is giving his friends money, and yet is failing to buy equipment for a cancer hospital. Is it okay? Is it right? Where are the priorities? But anyway, I can't be surprised, because the priorities of our president are warped. That's why he stayed in Dubai. When people in Chingola were dying, he opted to meet that sheikh of his. It is things like that. He opts to give money to his friends through those judgments they're doing, and he forgets about buying the basic drugs for our people in hospitals. It is painful to lose a relative. It is painful to lose a spouse. It is painful to lose a beloved. Just because there was no particular medicine, because government didn't procure. It's so sad. So sad. This connects me to another question which was asked there. Why do we lose our brilliance when we get into State House or when we get into power? It's not everybody who loses their brilliance. I have a friend of mine, I will not mention him on this program. Very good friend of mine. When I was a civil servant and I resigned, and I went to him and told him, I am resigning, I'm going to politics. And he told me, Harry, when you become a politician, when you win as MP there in Bahati, you will change you. You will turn against me. I said, not this type. Not this type. I won. And I called him, Mwana, I have won. I am now member of parliament for Bahati. We went, had tea, and as we're having tea, says, you can come as MP, but when they make you deputy minister, you think you can find time for me? Lo and behold, I was made deputy minister. I went and had lunch with him. We continued. You have come. Anyway, as deputy minister, you can come. But when they give you full cabinet minister, that one, no, I even gave examples of friends of his who abandoned him along the way. I became foreign affairs minister, lands minister, and foreign affairs minister. I never changed. I've never changed my number, by the way. From 1999 to date, I use the same mobile line. I've never changed it. You can go and verify with they used to be called Celteo, whatever they were called, Zamteo or Zam whatever. I use the same line. Some of us, we can give you caution that even if you give us power, it does not go to our heads. That is why we are able to even leave the seat of authority, because we believe that in any case, in one way or the other, you will lose that power of yours. You can lose it through death, you can lose it through getting fired, you can lose it through an illness, through all kinds of things. You can lose that authority. So I want to assure you that that will not happen. Not with this type. For me, I'm very focused. I'm a man of my word. And so there is nothing that is going to change. Even you, as you see me here, tomorrow I become president, you'll invite me here. I will not tell you to come to State House or to come to Nkwazi House to interview me. If you summon me, sir, I'll come. But except because of the way you are conducting the interview, you might find yourself in Berlin, you, as first secretary there. So
let's see
we
if
will not
we
change.
can get in another caller. We have a caller on the line. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, myself.
Wino Mkwai. Your name and where you're calling us from? Mr. Andrew, please go ahead. Be quick. We are running out of time. Your question.
All right.
But Andrew, your line is very, very bad. Hello? Okay, we seem to have a problem with Mr. Andrew's line.
There was another question which was asked there. They were talking about the commissions are always under the president, and therefore the Anti-Corruption Commission is under the president. That's a lie. I'm a member of parliament. I was a member of parliament, and I understand those issues. The institution of the Anti-Corruption Commission, while it's right that commissions are under the page of the president, but they have got a framework in which they operate. And the Anti-Corruption Commission is an autonomous body specifically crafted to act as a watchdog institution. Watchdog institution over the judiciary itself, over the executive, over the legislature. So you can't say it should be under the president, because all commissions, even Public Service Management Division, even the Public Service Commission, even the Prison Service Commission, those might be under the president. But the regulatory framework in which they operate is what distinguishes these commissions. The Anti-Corruption Commission is an autonomous body, an act of parliament that is meant to act as a watchdog institution. Putting it under one umbrella of the executive so that you can micromanage it is not only wrong, it is also irresponsible. It's bad that we in the citizens first mean well for the country. We in the citizens first are not coming to politics because we want to become rich or millionaires. That is not our ambition. I was telling you earlier that among the most important issues in my life, if I had to put 10 priorities for you, money is not even one of them. Even in poverty, there is dignity. You know, I can tell you for sure that if I was guided by money, the decisions that I've made in my life would never have been made. But because there's a higher value to what we do, we are guided by higher principles. We are not going to the presidency with a narrow perspective of just wanting to become a leader. But there was a question which was asked by Annie from Chiwombo, and I think it's a very important question. Annie said, why do people like starting afresh, reinventing the wheel? Why? And she's right. Because when I was Minister of Lands, taking over from Wilbur Simusa, I didn't start my own programs altogether. No, Ambassador Simusa will tell you that what I did was what was progressive under Simusa, I took. What I thought under Simusa was not progressive, I didn't take. But there must be continuity. The UPND, who hardly even know anything about governance, want to start new things. Why? They should have either closed the gaps, or they should have temporarily said, okay, we are halting this temporarily for us to understand it further. Not just everybody who you find in the system, come on, get away, get away. Me, I will tell you that when I come into government, you'll be shocked that if I come in government and I find that the IG, the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Grafo Musamba, he's acting according to the law and is behaving the way he should behave, why remove the man? Why should you remove, for instance, the army commander, Aluvuzwi, if you think that he's doing the correct thing? Why? The job of a president is to promote and protect institutions of governance. If the army commander or if the secretary to the cabinet, Mr. Kangwa, and Kangwa is a good man, by the way, he was my permanent secretary when I was deputy minister in the office of the vice president. It was him who even made me get promoted, because whenever I was writing to the vice president for authority to do this and that, he would always refer it to the controlling officer. My controlling officer was Mr. Kangwa, and he would always facilitate my trip. So congratulations to him for the position that he has. So a person like that, why would you want to change him? Even when you become president, why? You don't change the winning team. But when you say you've got some ministers whom I don't want to mention names, those ones, obviously, you have to change them. Those who are promoting violence, you have to change them, and you make them account so that they can know, they can dance the music and know that it is not correct to play games of that sort. Those of you that would want to join us in the Citizens First, please, you should get in touch. I don't just know the number of my provincial chairman of CAF. I wish I had it. I would have given, but you should get in touch with Mr. Chintu. Mr. Chintu is on 0977 41 42 74. 0977 41 42 74. You can also get in touch with our national chair lady, Madam Faith Montali, 0967 31 6694, 0967 31 6694. You can also get in touch with Mr. Philip in Kawe. Is on 0977 432211, 0977 432211. And last but not the least, Marjorie Mutakwa, our deputy national chair lady. She's on 0977. Marjorie is 0977 70. Oh, I think I forgot the Marjorie's number. Too many numbers in the head. And also this rising cost of milling meal, it's a problem, you know. It makes you forget all these numbers. But please get in touch with those colleagues of ours. Join our party. And even my number, by the way, it's 0977 794129. 0977 79 4129. I'm so grateful for having me here. May God bless you. May He bless the works of your hands. And I declare Isaiah 54 verse 17 upon your life. No weapon formed and fashioned against you shall prosper.
Amen.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, for making an appearance on the National Matters this evening.
Thank you so much, sir.
We have been talking to Citizens First President Harry Kalaba, who we were discussing various issues that are happening in the country. On that note, we come to the end of this week's National Matters. Don't forget to join us again next week as we bring to you another exciting program. On behalf of the entire production team, have a blessed night.